Hannah Hellman. Thanks for joining me today. If you love to make interactive cards, fun folds, ones with special techniques, I think you're going to love today's project. So let me show it to you. So here it is. What we have here is a spinner card and a shaker card all in one. I'm so excited about this card, and I'm excited to show you how to make another one here. I'm going to switch up the color scheme. After I got done with my colors, I wasn't sure I love these colors, so we're going to try another color scheme. You'll get to see that. But let me show you first the products I used, and then we'll talk about what we need and we'll get started. So what you're seeing here comes from the Seascape Bundle. So we have this really neat stamp set, these beautiful dies. This is an absolutely gorgeous die set with the seahorse and the goldfish and a few other things here that we will use. Now I used one of the Layering Diorama dies. I used my bark embossing folder, and then here is what I used for all the fun interactive piece. It is called the Give It a Whirl die set. So it comes with quite a few different dies in it. The main pieces that I used for this particular card are right here. And as I explain how to do this, I will pull these in and show you which ones you need to use. So what you're going to need, you need a card base that's a little bit smaller than normal, 5 3/8 by 8. And then fold that in half. I put a mat on top that measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. And then we need to prep some pieces with this die set. So let me show you what we have here. This piece right here for the very front, I cut with this die from the Give It a Whirl die set. Then I took that Layering Diorama die and I cut that out of the front. I embossed it with that bark embossing folder. We need a piece of window sheet, the clear acetate, cut with the same die. We need a piece of white that has been cut with the same die, and then use this die to cut it out. You can cut it out once. I just decided to cut it out twice so that you can see the fish swimming both ways. And we need a wheel cut out of this die right here. So once you have those pieces, that's basically what you'll need besides some of the die cuts that we will add in. So let's get started. First, let's prep these two back pieces, what's going to be the underwater scene. And we're going to make it look similar to this one, but with different colors, like I mentioned. So the first thing I want to do is to stamp my fish onto that wheel, okay? And for this one, I'm going to be using some bright colors. I'm going to use a few different colors. So I am going to start with some Magenta Madness. And you can stamp these on however close or far apart as you want to. As you play around with this, you'll notice that if you stamp them, you want to try and stamp them so that they look like they're swimming instead of being at sharp angles. So if you can stamp them more in a circular pattern rather than like at angles, you don't want to end up with a square fish swimming pattern. As you rotate the wheel, then you'll see that. So we'll stamp a few more in here. Let's stamp some green ones down here. And let's do a few purple ones. So this is some rich razzleberry. And we'll do one more little bunch of them. Okay, now I want to prepare this piece right here that's going to lay in front of that. And I just used the seaweed stamp to stamp on it a couple of times. So I am using some Granny Apple Green ink here. Stamp here. And let's stamp over here as well. Now, the reason I decided to use white this time, I thought it would be fun to have more of a clean and simple look. And I thought the blue took away from some of my stamped fish over here. So what I want to do is add a little bit of blue color, but I'm going to do it with my blending brushes. So I have some Pool Party ink, my blending brush, and I am going to, got a lot of ink there, so I want to get some of that off. Okay, come in from the edges and just add some of that lightly. You won't see the edges of this, you'll only see around the wheel there, so you don't need to do all of it. Okay, now I want to do the same thing on the wheel itself. And I may not add this throughout. I think I'm going to do mainly the edges in the center there where there aren't many fish stamped. Okay, so I have my pieces prepared. Now we get to start the fun part, which is the assembly. So we need to attach these two pieces together with a brad in the center. I love these brads. It comes in a, we have a brad assortment right now that comes with this little teeny tiny brad that I like for the center. So we'll attach that together, and here you get to see the fun beginnings of the card, the fish swimming underwater. Now we need to take the other two pieces I had prepared and attach them together. So the white piece needs to be attached on top of the window sheet. You want to get this lined up pretty well so the window sheet doesn't stick out the edges. Now what I want to do is flip this over. I need some foam strips. This is important for the shaker part of our card. And I will start attaching these around that die cut out of the center. So this is what's going to hold all of our shaker pieces in place and give them space to shake. Now I need a little bit more, so I'll add one more small piece there. When you have to attach multiples together, make sure you get a tight seal right there so that your shakers don't fall out. Trim this off, and now we need a few pieces on the corners so that the corners will be held up at the same height as the rest of it. So bring in a few more pieces here for those corners. And we'll put that whole piece right there. Okay, now I want to check this out, make sure I have everything together, and I'm glad I looked at that because I do want to add a couple of die cuts there in the background. So I die cut out some of these fish, and this paper I use for this sample, this is from our rainbow glimmer paper, which I think is so pretty. So we'll decide where I want to put these. I think I'll add in a couple extras from what I had the first time. So on the first one, I had those cut out of Calypso Coral, and I just used one towards the top and one towards the bottom this time. I have a few extras, so we will add them in. Okay, now that I have those on there, let's look at that again. And I believe we are ready to put this together. So what I like to do is lay this upside down, and I'm going to fill my shaker pieces in right here in the center. So this time I'm using some shaker shapes. I really like these bright, fun colors. And I will say, I do recommend using something a little bit more substantial than the sequins. The sequins are small enough that they can actually slide back behind that wheel. So if you have some beads or something like these, that would work a little bit better. Once you get those pieces in there, you can remove all of the paper backing. And then flip this over, and you want to line up the corners. I try to line it up before I press down, but get those corners lined up so that everything is even here. And once it is even, give it a nice good press, and we should have everything working here. Now, until we get this all attached, you want to be really careful when you flip this over. If you let this piece lift up, all of your shakers are going to fall out. So be very careful with that until we get everything put together. Okay, we had our card base prepared, so let's go ahead. Okay, I took a little time out, but I'm back. I made one mistake, which is easy to do in a card like this, but we are back and ready to go again so that I can show you how not to make the same mistake. And here is what you have to remember is no adhesive can go on this wheel right here. The adhesive to hold this piece to here will go around the top and around the bottom, and you want to get it as close to the wheel as possible without touching the wheel. You do not want to glue that wheel in place. That will ruin the fun of this card. So I am going to use glue. You could also use tape, but if you use glue, just be very careful not to get it too close, because if it oozes onto that wheel, it will glue it in place. Now I'm going to hold the wheel to make sure my shakers don't fall out, lay this upside down, get it pretty close to where I want it to be, and then I can do a little adjusting to get it right in the center of that granny apple green piece. Perfect. Okay, so here we can start to see the fun of the card. We have the shakers, we have the fish. Let it sit for a minute, let everything dry before I start to turn the wheel. So now we get to decorate it. Here's the fun part. And I have die cut these pieces, like I said, out of some rainbow glimmer paper. So here is this piece of coral, which is really pretty. We'll add that on. I've already put some glue on the back here. Next, we'll add that seahorse. Right on top. Isn't that beautiful? And I have my little tag that says thank you. I'll slide that right under the seahorse just a touch right here. Give that a good press. Now let's add some gems. This time I'm going to use some gilded gems. And I am going to add a gold bow just like I did on this one. So that's why I thought these gold ones would look really neat. So this is just a really fun card. Lots of techniques, lots of different special touches for somebody special, one of your favorite people. This would just be a really neat card, especially for kids. Just for fun, we'll add a couple more gems. Okay. Let me add. And this gem is being pesky. I think I lost it sticky. So we'll just add that bow, and then I want to show you the final results with how everything moves and shakes. Hopefully I can not knock that around while I'm showing you. So here you can see the shakers and the fun spinner feature to see the fish swimming underwater. So I would love to see your results. If you try this out, if you make one, send me a picture. Love to hear how it goes. If you have other ideas for upcoming projects, please let me know. You can find links to all of the products I used today in the video description below. You can also find a link to my blog with more information. Please like and comment on this video and share it. Please become a subscriber while you're here today. And I hope you enjoy this, and I hope to see you again next time when I will be back helping you to hand make with love.